Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned. This is Sunrise Daily, and we're moving on with our discussion segment. This is discussion segment 2 now. And here we're being joined straight away from our Abuja studios by Mr. Niyi Akinshiju, chairman of the Buhari Media Organization, as well as Mr. Segun Showmi, spokesman of the Atiku Campaign Organization. Gentlemen, welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, guys.
Now, let's start our own discussion from yesterday's event. There had been some controversy, and I'm talking to you, Mr. Showmi. There had been some controversy over whether or why the former vice president and candidate of the PDP did not attend the formal signing ceremony. But I think at this point, we can just say it's safe now to say that he signed on to it. But in signing on, he made a number of statements, which some would regard as a bit controversial. Of course, first he talked about the president's refusal to sign the electoral amendment bill into law. And then secondly, he talked about the role that some critical institutions of state will play in the elections, and not particularly sure that they would play those roles to the fairness and objectivity that is required. Now, what is the reason behind this view?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, on the signing of the peace accord, it was unfortunate that somehow those who were supposed to transmit that letters did not follow through with it to be sure that it got to the right sources. So it was kind of like lost in one of the files of one of the parties, or maybe the communication was not done properly. Suffice to say that I would have expected that those who were planning the peace accord would have known that there are two major stakeholders in the process, which is the PDP candidate, Atiku Abubakar, and the APC candidate, President Muhammadu Buhari. And as such, extra effort should have been placed to be sure that they got verbal commitments from the candidates. But that's behind us now, because obviously we're committed to peaceful elections, we're committed to fair elections, we're committed to transparent elections, and so we have signed. Now, what was he saying about the Electoral Act? You see, every government, since we started our democracy, has always tried to inch the process further and to deepen it further, improving it as they go along, trying as much as possible to create the legal framework to help INEC and the entire country get credible elections. And as such, it seems to be that everybody expected that the president should have been more interested in this Electoral Act amendment for about 4 reasons. The first is that you cannot run an election where usage of incident form will now begin to take precedence over accreditation. Why did we buy the equipment? Why did we go that route, if not for the fact that we wanted to be sure that people can be properly accredited? And if you then leave such a lacuna open for them to be able to run riots with incident act, which could encourage underage voting, which could encourage that proper accreditation is not taking place, you have not helped the process. The second is that you must be concerned about how the election results are transmitted, and it to be proper and necessary to encourage them to put it in law that we can transmit the result once it's counted at the polling unit directly to the server in Abuja, so that everybody can at least sleep easy, knowing fully well that between the polling unit and the collation center and some other locations, the elections are not manipulated. It would have also been interesting to know that you would have been interested in putting it into criminal, give criminal vent to the roles of electoral officers and what they ought to do relative to how they handle themselves on that day. And in any case, you would have expected that, having participated in many elections, the president now, Buhari himself, and having seen what can go wrong in elections, that now that he's the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he would have been more than interested in giving us a watertight electoral act that can protect us and protect Nigeria for the future. So we're saying he should have signed it. He should reconsider signing it. If there's a problem with it, it comes down to the way he's managed his own executive relationship. This thing should have been ironed out and should have given us a tidy one. And then we're saying with the police and the security organs that, look, there's no point if we're going to continue to insist that security organizations in the country are only going to serve the whips and caprices of the ruling party, because the person that will be in charge of the country from time to time may change in a democracy. Therefore, we must begin to encourage the security apparatus of the country to see themselves first as beholden to the entire Nigerians, and then obviously make themselves available to the dictate and the instruction of the commander-in-chief, but not to such an extent that every other person is scared or nervous as to how the security will behave. And the Ekiti election is something that reminds you of why everybody should be concerned. When in Ekiti State, the sitting governor begins to cry that he's in pain because of a simple election, you get a little bit nervous. The quantum of...
Mr. Shomi, let me come in here at this point, and I'll put you on hold for a minute or two and get the views of Mr. Akinshiju. The signing of the peace accord by Atiku Abubakar, the PDP presidential candidate, did it come as an afterthought?
Definitely. As far as I'm concerned, it came as an afterthought. There's already a track of reference, that you can make to establish the inclination of the Atiku campaign, the presidential candidate himself, and of course the PDP. Over the last 6-7 months thereabouts, we've read, comments, statements issued by the PDP, statements issued even by the Atiku campaign, suggesting their suspicion over the electoral process, and saying clearly that they will reject, whatever may be the outcome or the results of the elections going into 2019. Well, I also want to believe that it is quite petty and surprising if a simple issue of communicating letters of invitation, either or by some other means, to get to the presidential candidate of the PDP became a challenge, and we should start questioning the capacity, even from this very marginal incidents, questioning the capacity of both the PDP and its presidential candidates. It also came out, obviously, that the presidential candidate of the PDP was under immense pressure, and that he had to cave in to that pressure to append his signature to the peace accord. Thankfully, he has done that, and I hope there will be a commitment to it. But of course, as you raised earlier, the comments coming after are already eroding the values and the demands of the accord, as it were. Because if you start putting conditions, to what will make the accord functional or operational, what it means is that you are already declaring non-committal, to the dictates and the letters.
Mr. Akinshiju, if I may just follow up very quickly with this other question, because would you rather blame someone who feels that the electoral amendment bill ought to have been signed before even getting to the point of signing an accord? Would you say that it holds water for anyone who thinks as such, that it is the right thinking by anyone who is wanting to advance the course of democracy in this country to have that electoral amendments bill signed first and not having to put the horse ahead of the cart, or should I say the cart ahead of the horse this time?
Well, it's about the intent. It's about the intention of the electoral bill, as it were. I know that this will be the 4th time the president is rejecting the bill. It has already an illustrious history, in the annals of elections in Nigeria. When a bill is presented 4 times and it is rejected 4 times, it tells you there is an issue in it. If you start doing a pedigree analysis of the bill itself, it tells you that the leadership of the National Assembly had multifarious interest, in the bill. First talking about hijacking, ambushing the process of taking a calendar for the sequence of election, and then going forward to removing this same card reader, that has become the issue of controversy in the fourth amendment. When you look at all this, it tells you that there are deliberate acts of manipulation. And what we have at this station, at this point in time, is that the president has not rejected the provisions, as it were, of the Fourth Amendment. He has only said, please insert a proviso that would effect this bill, or the act as it were, going forward after the 2019 election. And as premised the rejection, as it were, on the fact that the time is too short. And I agree that the time is too short. Yes, we have been already, we have a template for the election. We have conducted, the INEC had conducted credible election over the last 3.5 years, in 2015. And going forward, I feel that the INEC will also perform a more credible function of conducting credible election in 2019. I am not scared, but what I know is that the opposition, the major opposition already is actually giving excuses, on issues.
Thing that your party has raised about the ruling party instigating, or how do you put it now, injecting trouble or crisis into your party, especially at the state levels. Where did you get that? Where did your party get that information? And what evidence do you have to prove that?
I didn't hear the first part of that comment, but if what I hear you say is that someone has alleged that the ruling party is infusing challenges into our own parties at the state, to the best of my knowledge, I think we must always remember that over and above everything else, we have a nation to run, and that our country will continually have to struggle in this democratic journey, since it's not exactly a tea party, to measure and give to Nigerians and to the next generation of Nigerian leaders a process that they can be proud of. Having said that, I do not support or make claims that cannot be substantiated or validated.
Mr. Somi, let me just clarify this.